Hello everyone, I'm Miss Ha. Today I'm going to talk about the multiplication of decimal. How can we do the multiplication of decimals? We can just think of how can you do the multiplication of the whole number. Take it as an example, like if the question asking you 23 times 3, then how can you do it? You just do it in a column form, which is 23 times 3, and then you're starting from multiplying the unit place here to get the answer. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 2 is 6, so that you get the answer is 69. If the question changed to the multiplication of decimal, which is I want it to be 2.3 times 3, so which means that in the column form of the multiplication, you just add back the decimal place here, and you see that in 2 times 3 times 3, in this part, you can see that there only one decimal place here. So you have to move back your decimal points back to the left by 1 time, which is the answer is 6.9. All right, but sometimes you may say that, oh, the question will be a little bit challenged, like there's a 101 times 33, like this. How can you do this kind of the question? It's similar as the thing that you did before. There's 101 and then times 33. Then you're starting from, no matter you start the 10th place or you start the unit place, it just depends on how you do the calculations. For me, I was starting from 10 place, so I'm starting from 3 times 1. All right, 3 times 1 is 3, and then 0, 3 times 1 is another 3, and I get back the 0 here. And the next part is 3 times 1. All right, 3 times 1 is another 3, and then 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 1 is 3, so that I can add these two numbers together, which is 3, 3, 3, 3. And the answer that I get is 3,333. All right, but if the question changes to the decimals, like if it is 1.01 times 3.3, then I add back the decimal here, 1.01 times 3.3. How can we get the correct answer? And you see that there's how many decimal place here. After the decimal point in the first number, which has 2 decimal place, in the second number here, it have 1 decimal place. So you have to move your decimal points for 3 times, because there's a 2 and 1 altogether. You have 3 decimal place, so you have to move your decimal points to the left for 3 times. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then you can get the answer. There's a 3.333. That's how you did the multiplication of decimal, which is the same as before you do the multiplication of the whole number. And the only one thing different is you have to consider the decimal point to see how many decimal places that you see from the number sentence, and then you have to add back the decimal point. All right. And here are some skills for you to do the calculations. The first one, you have to align the number to the right. Like for this example, which is 2.01 times 9, is like this. And if you are doing the addition and subtraction of the decimal, you have to align the decimal points. But for the multiplication one, you don't need to align it. You have to align the number or the number to the left. Just treat it as a whole number that you did before, which is there's a 2.01, and no matter the 9 is the unit place, I still keep it to the right because that's the multiplication. All right, and I keep the times here. And the second part, I perform my calculation as usual. All right, like let me change the 9 to 0.9. I think much more better to do the example. All right, 0.9, and I do the calculations at normal, at usual, like I use the 9 times 1, because in the unit place here is 0. If 0 times everything is 0, so we don't need to do it. So 9 times 1 is 9, and then 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 2 is 18. All right, the answer is 1809. And the first step is I have to determine where is the decimal point. And I see that in the first number, you have 2 decimal place here. In the second number, you have 1 decimal place here. So all together, I have to move my decimal point for 3 times. Move it to the left, 1, 2, 3. And I keep the decimal points here. All right. So after that, my answer will be 1.809. And you may ask, what is the next part? You see that I write 2 more here. Add the 0 to the left if needed, or delete the useless 0 if any. So what does it mean is, like if you saw some decimals like this, like I changed my question a little bit. I want to change from 9 to 0009. And I changed the calculation part here, which is 0.009. All right. After that, I found that about you have 2 decimal place here, and below you have below you have 3 decimal place here. So which means that they're all together. There's not 3 now. They're all together is 5 decimal place. So I have to move my decimal points for 5 times, which is that is a 1, 2, 3, and I need to add 2 more, 4, 5, and I keep the decimal points here. If you see that I keep the decimal points here, there's some empty place. We can't keep it at empty because it is not the number that we sort. If there's a space between the decimal and the next number, you have to add back the 0. And before the decimal point, you have to add 1 more 0. So the answer for this question is 0.01809. All right, and sometimes you have some useless 0 for the question for the step 5 here. If you see that there's a useless 0 on the left, on the right, make sure that you delete it. Like if you get the answer, like for example here, if you get the answer like 5.0, you have to delete the useless 0, because after the decimal point, if you see that the 0 is at the back, then you have to delete it, which is like this. 5.0 is equal to 5. Like if there's a 5.030, you see that you have the 0 after the decimal point. But if the number after 0, like this, if you see that there's a number after 0, then you have to keep this 0. But if you see that 0 is at the back, right? 0 is the last number that you saw, then you delete it. The answer for this part is like 5. All right, the answer is 5.03 for this question, right? And that's how we did the multiplication of decimals, and I hope that you understand how to deal with it, and see you in the next time. All right, see you in the next videos. Bye.